Podcast hosting provided by Transistor. If you want to host your own show, head over to transistor.fm and start a 14-day free trial.
Hello and welcome to the Regen Racing Podcast. I'm your host Dino, and I'm here once again with Nath and a special guest.
That's me, I think. Hello!
Yeah, so we've got Tobi Bluhm on the show, and we're really excited as he was actually at the Marrakesh Eprix, so we'll have plenty of insight for you. So, yeah.
Let's get started.
Excellent.
How are you guys doing? First of all, most important thing, how are you two?
Yeah, very well.
That's good.
Nath?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well as well. I am currently in a state of limbo between moving houses, so I'm currently living out of a suitcase, and I'm sitting here with my laptop in front of me, holding a mic on a random bed. And so yeah. But apart from that, I'm good.
Nice. It's summer here in New Zealand, so we've just got back from holiday and back to work, unfortunately. So lots of planning and getting into the new year at the moment.
How warm is it? How warm is it in New Zealand right now?
It's so stinking hot right now. It's also because I'm cooped up in a room. There's the neighbour's lawn mowing at the moment. It's probably 7 o'clock in the evening. It's still pretty hot, so I've got all the curtains closed, the windows closed, and so I'm just like slowly getting warmer and warmer just to drown out that noise.
Christchurch isn't as bad. It's more late teens, so it's not too bad today. But
okay.
How about you, Toby? How are you doing?
Well, it's winter in Germany, and the south of Germany is literally just a couple of meters of snow, and the north is rain. It's awful in Germany. But when I was in Marrakesh, I really enjoyed it. It's like spring there. However, at nights, as soon as the sun dips under the horizon, it's freaking cold. I was surprised by that. I mean, you know it, of course, before you go to Morocco anyway, but that's the first time I experienced it. First time for me in Africa as well. It's Morocco still is part of the Western Sahara Desert, so any desert, it gets really, really cold at night. So while we had around 20 degrees Celsius over the midday, we had 4 in the nights, so that's really cold.
Wow.
And that took some time getting used to that.
Mate,
I bet. Very good. And so, talking about Marrakesh, you had a lap in the BMW i8 safety car. How was that?
Oh yeah, I had. Oh, that was amazing. I only found out about that literally the day before I was supposed to get the drive. I was really surprised for getting invited, but they had a couple of journalists do a lap in the i8. Some had just a usual casual i8, and I did a lap in the actual safety car with Bruno Correa. He's the safety car driver, obviously.
Wow.
And he knows how to drive a race car, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's been a race car driver
awesome.
for the last 10 years or so. Has been doing lots of races in Morocco as well, so he really does know the track. And he was not driving it slowly, I can tell that. It was an amazing experience, especially coming out of turns 11 and 9, if I'm not completely mistaken. Just the Atlas Mountains in the background, the view, the scenery, the backdrop, amazing.
That's the one that they take all the pictures of when they're, buy tickets, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a spectacular lap. Fantastic experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And you also had a couple of interviews while you were there. Anyone of note?
First time speaking to Pascal Wehrlein, obviously. Then I really enjoyed talking to Max Günther. Of course, the Germans are really... I'm not really close to my heart, but to my German readers' hearts, and they want to know particular things about particular drivers, and that's mostly the Germans.
Absolutely.
And Plus, Max Günther obviously is a really, really nice guy, especially in German. I don't know. He's cool in English interviews as well, but I've been speaking to Max for a couple of months now, multiple times. I have a podcast as well with my German Formula E page, and we had him on as a special guest even before the season started in episode 100 as sort of a special guest, and we've been speaking for him for literally 2 hours straight. So he's a really, really open-minded guy. Similar age to me as well, so that makes things easier. Really good to talk to him, as always. Yeah.
Okay, so what type of journalism do you do? And the podcast, what is it, and where can people find it?
As I said, I do audio journalism, of course, with the podcast. It's the E-Pod, as it's called, in German, of course, sadly. So for all German listeners right now, there's a German podcast as well, which has me on. It's called the E-Pod. It's a weekly podcast about Formula E. I do some audio tidbits for that as well. We have a Patreon page with premium content. I do that. And the majority of what my type of journalism is written journalism. I work for eFormel.de in Germany, and we have daily Formula E stories. There are plenty of other websites out there that specialize on motorsports, but just a few that specialize on Formula E. And we've been around since day one, specializing on Formula E. And that's what I mainly do. A couple of articles a week for the German Formula E fan base, if that's a thing.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Before we get into the next part of the show, which is Media of the Week, of course, shout out to Tom and John from Eprix Talk as well. They have a great podcast. I'm a guest on there sometimes, and that's really how I got into doing this, podcasting about Formula E. So it's good to see that they're back doing it again for season 5. So yep, shout out to those guys, and hope they go well. Media of the Week. We'll start with you, Nath. What do you got?
I feel very boring and inadequate this week.
Wow, that's
yeah.
way to get psyched up for it.
I know. Well, sorry guys, I'm really letting the team down here. To be honest, I actually don't have any media of the week. I've been so busy the last few weeks that I feel like I haven't actually had a chance to consciously sit down and listen to anything or watch anything. So I'm going to have to take a pass on this one.
Alrighty. Yeah, so there is a new podcast by Mahindra called Straight Talk. It's good to have some background on the team and the prep that goes into, a Formula E weekend. And Nikki Shields is the presenter. It's a real neat podcast and worth a listen for any Formula E fan. So, give that a listen. I think
nice.
Felix Rosenquist makes an appearance, and I think he gets given the mic for the first episode since they've, I think that was his last day on the job. Yeah, have a listen.
Excellent. Have they just got the 1 or 2 episodes so far?
Yeah, they've only got the 1 episode, but it may be 2 by the time this goes out. But yeah.
Yep.
So it's just started. And Toby?
I still have to listen to that. I've seen them starting the podcast, but I still couldn't get around to listening to it. Still one of the things on my to-do list for this week. My media of the week is Hazel South Wales EV thread on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen her or heard of her or if you've read anything of her, but she's a Formula E journalist as well. And apart from obviously being a great and fantastic writer, she's made a name for herself on Twitter recently for starting a monstrous thread. It started out with, for every tweet, I'm quoting her now, for every like this tweet gets, I will tweet about a weird electric vehicle. And she ended up getting 462 likes by the time of this recording.
Wow.
Way to put it out there. Oh.
And
so
she started. Difficult for me. So she started and tweeted and added one car to the other. There are some hilarious background stories to these cars, and she all shared that and didn't quite manage to do the 462, but I ended after 200 and said, well, that's pretty much all you need. I mean, I can do I can do 200 cars easily. So what proof more do you need?
Yeah, that's
for
a good
the fact
effort
that
anyway.
Electric cars are the future. And that's my media of the week. 200 tweet long thread about electric cars.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm going to have to go and check that out.
You can find her at 8H Southwell FE on Twitter.
I'll put that in the show notes for sure. That sounds interesting, and there's quite a few people that talk about or have EV podcasts now. So yeah, I'm big into that. So I'll definitely be checking it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nath, do you want to introduce the Marrakesh test entry list for us?
So, in news this week, obviously there's the big news item of the week with the Marrakesh Eprix, but also had some testing in Marrakesh.
We did. So who have we got racing or testing for the teams in this test?
Yes, so we'll let's just alternate this so I don't just read out a huge block of text and bore you all. But Audi Sport at Schaeffler had Nico Mueller and Jamie Green. DS Techeetah had James Roster and Tatiana Calderon.
Yep.
Mahindra Racing, I'm going to mess up some of these names, so apologies in advance. Sam de Jong and Sergey Sirotkin.
I just love having people try and do these names. It's one of my favourite
I feel like
things.
You've thrown me under the bus here, Dean. Why don't you take the next couple
Keep
then?
going. Okay, so in Vision Virgin Racing, we've got Nick De Vries and Benoit Trullier, Nissan, Jan Mardenborough and Mitsunori Takaboshi, Panasonic Jaguar, Pietro Fittipaldi and Harry Tinknell, Venturi, Norman Nato and Arthur Leclerc, Jamie Chadwick and Jack Hughes for Neo, GeoX Dragon, Antonio Fuoco, and BMW I Andretti, Bruno Spengler and Marco Whitman, and HWA Racelab, Daniel Juncadella and Rafael Marciello. You were going for Sam de Jong and Sergei Sorokin. So
That's the
Mahindra, yeah.
Yeah.
So Toby, you'd be quite a bit more familiar with a few of these names. Obviously, Sergei Sorokin, ex-Formula One, and Jamie Chadwick seems to be doing a lot of testing for Neo. Was there anyone that surprised you in this test?
I mean, when they announced the list, Benoit Trellier really surprised me, because he's a 3-time Le Mans winner. He's over 40, I think, if I'm not doing him justice there. But he probably was the oldest test driver in the test, and he's really, really well known in motorsports generally. It was fantastic seeing him just being one of the other rookies and being as inexperienced as any other driver there. Apart from him, obviously, the big part of the former DTM drivers taking part in the test. We have Nico Müller, Jamie Green, who else is there? Bruno Spengler, Marco Whitman, of course, both BMW testers. Daniel Juncadella also did race in DTM. And add to that the current Formula E drivers, Antonio Felix da Costa, Eduardo Mortara, Maro Engel, who obviously now is out of the series, did DTM as well. Robin Frains did race in DTM. So there's quite a big connection to the German touring car series. And that's a thing that really surprised me.
Okay. And what did you make of Sergei Sorokin?
Oh, he was good. He was really on it. I was sitting... So I was there for the test only for the morning session, but I was sitting on the grandstand and watching how the cars are behaving through the chicane. And Sergei Sorokin was on it. He was absolutely on it. And pushing the car, riding the curbs, cutting the chicane because he was pushing so much. I think the of course, timing sheets don't always do the performance of each driver justice, because obviously teams do run different testing programs, and I interviewed Nick de Vries after the test, and he told me that they weren't running laps higher than 200 kilowatts, so race mode, in the mornings. And of course, when you write an article, you focus on who's quickest, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But teams were running different performance programs and weren't aiming for the quickest lap. And that's the thing we have to bear in mind when talking about the test results.
Yeah, for sure. And Tatiana Calderon, she tested in the first test in Arderia. She's back for another round. How'd she go?
Mm-hmm. Oh, she had a really, really good time in the car. Tatiana Calderon ended up being sixth fastest of all. So that was really surprising. And the morning session in P2, and if you collect all the times, accumulate them, she was sixth fastest of all. And if you compare that to her performance from Riyadh at Diriyah, where she was, I think, still in the top 15, but I think a couple of tenths of a second, if not seconds, off the fastest lap.
Wow.
That's really surprising to see her up that far, but lovely to see her up that far, because she deserves it. She's a fantastic driver, and once again proved to, well, all the women in motor racing that they can drive and that they can compete on the same level as the boys. She did run in the morning, but didn't get a chance to test out the car in the afternoon. I think it is because Tachita DS wanted to try out the same thing or two different things on two cars, but needed James Rossiter as, well, the unchanged component, if that makes any sense. So they wanted him to drive both cars in the afternoon, and that's what he did, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm completely wrong here, but that's as far as I'm concerned. James Rossiter did do both cars on the afternoon, and I was seeing, well, Tata Calderon walking through the paddock, so I think that's a fair assumption then, that he tried both cars.
Interesting.
Perfect. Some good insight. I'm going to skip Alan McNish likes attack mode, because, that's not really much anymore.
Don't we all like attack mode?
Yeah, we do.
It's even won me over. We're 2 races in, and I'm skeptical about new changes, but it's been so exciting to watch so far.
Yeah, well, actually, let's go into it. So, Audi team principal Alan McNish, he reckons that the new attack mode concept has helped keep racing in the championship, in brackets, robust for the championship's 5th season. So this is the system that raises the power from 200 kilowatts to 225 kilowatts for set periods of time. And basically what it is that the drivers, when they want to activate it, they push a button before they go through a certain part of the track, which is off the racing line, and they get an extra 25 kilowatts for a certain period of time, which is at the track's discretion of what they think they will ideally make it interesting. I think both times has been 4 minutes. Am I right, Toby?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think as Nath was alluding to, I was missing the pit stop element, because I do like Formula E as a team sport, but really it's brilliant. Love it.
I think it's great. It's added, we lost that little bit of strategy, and when are they going to change cars? Is it this lap? Do they try and eke it out for another lap? That was always a really entertaining thing to watch from a spectator's point of view. And now having that attack mode, it's replaced it, but it's added a lot more, in my feeling as well. There's so much more strategy at play, and trying to, we saw it in the last race in Marrakesh, trying to estimate when the safety car was going to come out, how that influences your decision of when to take it, and it's been really exciting so far.
Yeah, I guess, last race, both Nissan cars got a bit screwed over, but this time, it was, people were fighting for the front and just getting back in on the same position, not losing a position when they were taking the attack mode. So I think everyone was definitely practicing and getting away with it, which is quite cool.
Yeah. And especially after Marrakesh, all the drivers' feedback was, as opposed to Saudi Arabia, good as well. Because I had a few drivers complain about attack mode and the location of the activation zone in Diriyah, obviously being right behind the apex of the final corner.
Yeah. And especially if you miss it on your first and second try.
Miss it twice.
Yeah. Ask
Did you have... I'm sure he would have loved that question.
Yeah, but anyway, I think Saudi Arabia the implementation of attack mode was a bit clumsy, but this time out in Marrakesh, it was fantastic location. Couldn't have done it any better, in my opinion, and the drivers enjoyed it as well.
Excellent.
More of that, more attack mode. Hopefully, we get a couple of attack modes and a couple of races. Wouldn't that be a thing?
Please.
2 attack mode spots. Where are you going to take it?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. Oh well, Formula E, if you're listening, there you go. The fan boost, right. So, Nath, obviously, you're not a big fan of the fan boost, but this might change part of your decision on it. Daniel Apton, Lucas Di Grassi missing out for the first time in ages.
I know, it was a lot more even this time. Yeah, probably the most exciting fan boost we've had for a while.
Yeah, we've got Sebastian Buemi getting it again. Pascal Wehrlein on debut getting it, although he didn't last very long, but we'll get into that. Felipe Massa, of course, and Antonio Felix da Costa. He seems like a really... The fans seem to love Antonio, and I think last race didn't hurt that, obviously, but he seems really favourable. And of course, Stoffel van Dorn coming from Formula 1 and winning the fan boost yet again. Toby, are you a fan of the fan boost, or are you a bit meh?
Don't get me started on fan boost. I mean, it's a good idea generally to kind of include the fans in what's happening on the track. But I feel that fan boost is easy to manipulate. There's been a story that's been going out a couple of years ago, I think, and where a journalist uncovered that fan boost results were being rigged, in fact. And I think they improved the system a lot since then. However, it's still easy to influence. I don't have any hard proof of that, but the fact that both Audi drivers were winning fan boost since Berlin 2016, that was the last time they didn't get the fan boost. And after Berlin 2016, on the Karl Marx Allee, so when they both collided and everything, so a long time ago, they've been winning each and every fan boost. Not both of them at every time, but one of the 2 Audi Abt drivers always won fan boost since then. And it kind of seems possible to me that with them being such a big company, them just sending out an email to every employee, vote for us on fan boost, and that gets them a couple of thousand votes. So it's a theory. I have nothing to confirm it, but that's just me thinking out loudly. That might be possible. Van Dorn obviously has a big fan base from F1 still. Same applies to Massa. But, I mean, that's just my weird theory probably, but maybe Audi... I mean, it's obvious that they've done something to influence at least fan boost.
They should have tried a bit harder this time. Apt getting 6th. 7.02%. Pascal Wehrlein just pipping him. 7.17. So very close. Very, very close. But 7 seems the magic number that you need.
Yeah. Are we seeing drivers still using fan boost constructively throughout the race, or has that kind of been sidelined somewhat by the new attack mode.
That's a really interesting talking point, actually, because
most of them seem to only use it for defense.
And
unfortunately,
I think, let me just check that. I'm not completely sure about that, but I thought Formary made the use of fan boost mandatory throughout the race. But I think, I'm just checking it now, that not every driver used 250 kilowatts in the race. If I remember, there have only been 2 drivers who used fan boost in the race.
Well, that might have been because Pascal Wehrlein and Stoffel van Dorn didn't get the chance.
Yeah, sure.
So you've only got 3 people in a...
Buemi used it, Da Costa used it to... I think he used it to attack Alexander Sims in the race.
Right.
And who else was there? Who else won it? Massa. Buemi used it, and did Massa use it? Let me just check that. He did not.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay.
Something to keep an eye on in future races.
Yeah. And that's another point to criticise about fan boost, because drivers are not applying it as Formary intends to. Anyway,
moving on. Super Pole. Here we go. This was interesting. I enjoyed the carnage of qualifying. So we had a qualifying where Sam Bird and Robin Frains were compromised. Tom Dillman couldn't get the car stopped, or there was a glitch, and basically rammed the back of Robin Frains, who in turn was behind Sam Bird and hit his diffuser. They were in Parc Fermé after that and couldn't change it, couldn't do anything to the cars. So I think there was an interview with Sylvain Filippi, the team boss of Envision Virgin, and he said, very, very strange. I think there's only been one other time where there's been something like that happen. That was interesting. However, the drivers that got to Super Pole, Mitch Evans, Alexander Sims, Sebastian Buemi, Antonio Felix da Costa, Jean-Eric Vergne, and Sam Bird. And Sam Bird coming out on top, even with diffuser damage. What a lap. What an absolute... you've got to give it to him. I mean, with a car that, it's probably not the quickest of the bunch, but still, just every corner was smooth. It just amazing. Couldn't believe it.
And had they had some earlier mechanical difficulties as well with their water pump that they'd had to resolve?
Oh yeah. Every Audi car had it. Oh, I don't know if every Audi car had it, but certainly some water pump issue affected Audi cars. Lucas Di Grassi had to change it. I think Sam had to change the rear end of his car before qualifying as well. So it's related to the Audi powertrain. With the same problem affecting at least these 2 cars. I'm not sure if all 4 cars were affected by it. So yeah, as you say, really difficult warning for Envision Virgin Racing, and they still put it on pole. Or Sam did. A fantastic lap, spot on at every corner.
Yeah. Our man Mitch Evans making a mistake, unfortunately, in Super Pole, but hopefully he's back stronger.
Yeah, great to see him in Super Pole.
And outdone PK, first 2 races of the season. Got to be happy with that, Nath.
Oh yeah, yeah. As you may not be aware, we're being Kiwis and New Zealanders, we're big Mitch Evans fans. Just having a New Zealand driver out there, that's awesome for us.
Well, we're kind of crossing our fingers as Hartley gets the Porsche seat, but we'll talk about that later in the season when it gets announced. Let's hope so. Our predictions for Marrakesh. We do a prediction poll, and Dan from Formula E Reviews, he also does it with us. So he chose Da Costa, Vergne, Pascal Wehrlein, Di Grassi, Lotterer, and Evans for Super Pole. He chose Lotterer, Wehrlein, and Vergne for the podium, and his first retirement was PK Jr. I had Vergne, Lotterer, Buemi, Evans, and Dillman. Don't know why I chose Dillman. He wasn't having the best of races, but that's all right. In Evans, Dillman, and Vergne, Again, come on, Tom, come on. And the first retirement, Gary Paffett, so I wasn't too far off there, but yeah.
For my predictions, I had, just get this in the right order, for Super Pole, I didn't go into as much detail. I was just predicting Apt or Bird to take out Super Pole. So that's a tick there, and I'll claim it. For the podium, look, I thought after Jev came out swinging in Riyadh, I thought he was a strong contender for the podium. Yes, I was disappointed very quickly in the race with that prediction. And for the first retirement, just one of the new drivers, someone who is new team, new driver for the season, which proved to be pretty on the money.
Yeah, Stoffel Van Dorn, unfortunately, first retirement. What happened in the race? It was incredible. I really enjoyed this. Vern and Bird on the front row, and Vern decides, after having what looked like a pretty terrible start, to go down the inside and try and get round Bird, and spins.
And takes out half the field behind him.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he tries. Degrassi ends up going into Pascal Wehrlein, which he retires with his diffuser, and Degrassi has massive damage on his nose and half the front of the car, but still manages to carry on. But what a chaotic start.
It's like when you sit down to a movie and it's just straight into it, Yeah, no time to warm up and get settled and grab the popcorn, It's just bam.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Vern had a bad start, or at least a bad getaway off the line. Yeah, and he was feeling the pressure from Wemmy behind, and he was coming closer, and I think Vern just forgot about his braking point and just piled into Sam Bird, got turned by side pods, and it reminded me of Sebastian Vettel a couple of years ago in Sao Paulo, Brazil, when he was fighting for the championship. I think it was 2012. It was facing the other side, the other side, and still trying to win the championship. Vern was similar to that, and of course rolling backwards across the track, drivers having to avoid him, going around the outside. Buemi, I think, lost eight spots due to him having to wave around Vern. So a chaotic start, and as you say, Pascal Wehrlein being taken out by Degrassi there. Degrassi, of course, had the damage, and major damage to his nose. Really must have affected his aerodynamic features of the car. Yeah, I mean, aerodynamics isn't as important in FE as it is in F1, but still, it surely was a different car to drive for him. And Wehrlein obviously being taken out with diffuser damage, rear axle damage, suspension, all the other things that could go kaput on the rear end of the race car. And
everything just dead.
Yeah, everything was just dead at the back of his car, and he retired after lap 1. And another story from the start, both HWA drivers, of course, coming together, right?
Oh, and Toto Wolff, the Mercedes boss, Formula One, was watching with James Vowles.
Yeah.
So probably not what they wanted to see from their team. Obviously, HWA going to be the Mercedes factory team for season 6.
Yeah.
Just going back to Vern's moves off the line. Do you think that was always a planned move for him to go for that, or do you think that was just a spur of the moment and forgetting about it?
No. No, I don't think so. I think
the latter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as Toby said, he might have come under pressure and thought, I'm screwed if I stay here, or but I think it's maybe he just thought he had the pace. Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the case. Drivers trying to think about how they're going to behave in turn 1, and then things pan out differently, and I think that was just not part of his plan going into turn 1, and maybe he did track under pressure. I don't know, but fact is he missed his braking point basically and drove into Bird.
good pace from the BMW guys yet again. I think I had them in my prediction 8th. Now, I'm going to retract that because there's no way that those two guys are going to get 8th in the championship. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said it. And I apologise to all you BMW fans out there. I didn't think they would have a chance, but Andretti, BMW, well done. That was some good pace, but that would very quickly get undone. Virgin quick also, but obviously Bird with the damage. Struggled, I would say, quite a bit more than Fraines. And De Grassi struggling, so D'Ambrosio, he was free to come through the field. What do you think of his drive?
Amazing. Outstanding drive by D'Ambrosio. There was a big fighting group, I think, from positions 1 to 6, and everybody was shuffling around there. And I think D'Ambrosio was one of the only ones who never really lost a position in all of that fighting. And where did he start from? I think P8, if I'm not mistaken. He started.
It was around there, I think.
No, P8 was Fraines. P10 even. D'Ambrosio started from 10th, and of course,
what a drive!
Yeah, I mean, he had the advantage of all of his rivals being taken out by Vergne in turn 1. But he still put on a good show and still had to overtake cars. Had a I think, in my opinion, he was the driver making the best use of attack mode. Never lost a position. Almost did to one of the Nissan drivers, but never lost a position using attack mode. Fantastic drive for him. And then, of course, could profit from this one particular scene towards the end of the race, which brought him all the way to the front.
So we've touched on this one particular scene a few times, but fill us in, Dean.
The BMW cars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the BMW cars. Now, there was an interview afterwards, and Antonio Felix da Costa takes fault, but I'm not entirely sure. The two BMW cars quite clearly out in front and going to easily, in my thoughts, take a 1-2 finish if there was no other shenanigans or if there was going to be a safety car. Alexander Sims decides to go on the outside, locks up as he's getting to the corner, and Antonio decides to defend, locks up a wheel and goes into him, bounces off and hits the wall. Almost Alexander Sims joins him, but manages to get it stopped and pull out and loses second and gets fourth. What are they doing?
I don't know.
After we had that incident in Santiago with the two teammates, yes, yeah, crashing into each other. It had that written all over it again, but this one ended far worse.
It did. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, you got to make it stick. You can't just take your teammate out, and obviously that relegates them in the team standings as well as going for the World Championship. So, and definitely helps Vergne and D'Ambrosio.
It's interesting. Just going back to the BMW incident, this race. Afterwards, in the interview with Sims, he seemed to indicate that he was just cruising behind Da Costa and losing time with other cars catching up on them. So he was pretty keen to get around the corner and push in front so he could get some clear air and actually drive even better.
Yeah, spot on. I think BMW did lead by around 5 seconds at one point, and then they started losing time, and I was watching the timing screens, and it became apparent pretty quickly that the other drivers behind, so these, I talked about these top 6 drivers being just one big pile of cars battling one another, and the other 4 were catching rapidly, more than a second a lap, and it was apparent that Sims had to make a move in order not to lose out on the others catching them. And he tried it, and was round the outside, as you said, Dean, around turn 7, a really, really quick left-hander. And, well, just like Vergne in lap 1, I think Da Costa just forgot about hitting the brakes. And, yeah, drove into Sims, drove him off the road, and drove himself into the tyre barrier.
Yeah, he was a broken man. I really felt for him, actually.
Oh yeah,
I did too.
especially when you're out on the outside of the track, and then you've got to make your way back to the pits and the team garage. That you just want to just walk away and go back to your hotel room, wouldn't you, and board the next flight home.
Yeah.
And then you got journalists like Toby going and asking questions about what happened. Well, yeah, it's very unfortunate. So, driver of the race, guys.
Oh, D'Ambrosio, I couldn't argue with that. I see. It's probably a lot of people's favourite driver for the race, and I think it's well deserved.
Yeah, he's mine also. He did also get the official driver of the day.
I don't know.
Toby?
Might be. DHL gives the driver of the day, don't they? I think so, yeah.
I saw it on Twitter somewhere. Yep. Brilliant. Shall we quickly talk about Jev's comeback drive as well?
Oh yeah, we should.
If you leave out the turn 1 incident.
So if you leave out turn 1, he had a fantastic race as well. He dropped back to, I think, P21, so last, technically, because drivers were retiring all around him, and after all retirements, I think he was running 19th. And, of course, without the pit stops, there's little margin for error with the other teams. And he still made the best use of his DS powertrain and just drove through the field, took up position after position, and ended up almost getting onto the podium. Of course, after the BMW incident, there was a safety car. And had it not been for that safety car, he ended up 5th. I think, had it not been for the safety car, I think he might have been on the podium as well. A fantastic drive by Vergne. Classic Vergne drive, really. Yeah. Great performance.
Yeah, he's brilliant at that.
I still feel like throughout, we've only had 2 races so far, but we haven't seen the full potential of Vergne yet.
No, I don't
Not
think
for this
so.
season, at least, yeah.
I think... I think the Diesta cheaters are very quick. It's going to be interesting to see if BMW and Mahindra and Virgin can keep them at bay. Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to be just a complete runaway, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic to see this many teams battling it out for the championship. I mean, we're already talking about the championship after race 2. We shouldn't be doing that, but still,
it's what everyone does, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, sure. But I think DS and Mahindra and BMW and Virgin/Audi, theoretically, they could all be level in terms of performance, and that's what you see in the team standings. Just smoothly transitioning it to the standings. We have DS now leading with 47 points ahead of Mahindra with 40, on equal points with BMW. So we have 47 at the top, 40, and then 36th with Virgin. So 4 teams basically on the same point standing.
Yeah.
So really interesting.
And then Nissan, Panasonic, and Audi 18, 15, and 14. So pretty close as well. Unfortunately, Dragon, Neo, and Venturi all with a big 0. Unfortunate, but I think they can definitely come back, and I did have Neo up quite a bit further, so hopefully they can pick up a few points. Come on, Tom.
You're still counting on Tom Dillman to carry you through.
Yeah. I don't know, just something about his drives last season just kind of sticks with you. Like, yeah, you're a really good driver. You should pick up quite a few points. I mean, we don't know the potential of the Neo car, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, at least in qualifying, I think all 10 or 11 teams have a chance at bringing the car and putting the car on pole. And after pole position, it's easier in Formula E than it is in F1 for comparison to stay in the top 10. And I think Neo does have a good chance at scoring points in the next few races.
Excellent.
Okay, so why don't you follow on with the driver standings, Toby?
Good. So there's Jerome D'Ambrosio now leading the championship. That's a new thing. I never thought I'd say these words, but Jerome D'Ambrosio is actually leading the championship. He had 4 very, very difficult years with Dragon, and now with the new Mahindra car, he's flying. He is absolutely flying, and now leads by over 10 points ahead of Antonio Felix Acosta, who didn't come into the points obviously this time out. Won the last race after pole position, so he's still at 28 points, on equal points with Jean-Eric Vergne. He came 5th in both races, and he's ahead of his teammate Andre Lotterer, and then Robin Freins completes the top 5. So yeah, big takeaway from Marrakesh. Mahindra is back, and they have a car to win races, and they now lead the championship, the Drivers' Championship, with Jerome D'Ambrosio.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Now that we've got that out of the way, what a race. So Santiago has slightly been changed for this season. It was race 4 last season, race 3 this season. Now, a 2.5 kilometre track, 14 turns, even though you can kind of say that 8, 9 and 10 are a bit of a chicane. Some interesting parts, especially 12, 13 and 14, Toby.
Yeah, it's a really interesting track. They had to move locations in Santiago after, well, residents really complained about the build-up and tear down of the track. It was really loud.
That's a bit rude.
They damaged some old monument in front of some museum, I don't know, while building up the track. So residents were not happy with Formary being there, and they then had to move to the O'Higgins Park. And now the new track features, as you said, 14 turns, and not every team has been driving the track in the simulator yet. Of course, they only get sim data 3 weeks in advance, which makes it really complicated for most teams, especially with a new track. They have no idea how the track's going to be in real life, and every day and every minute really in the sim will pay off in the end. Venturi didn't test in the Santiago track in the sim before Marrakesh. Mahindra did. I did learn that from Sam de Jonge, who was testing with Mahindra, and he said it was just like riding a bull through Santiago. He said he's really enjoying the track.
Crikey.
And it's going to be a fantastic and fascinating race to watch. Obviously, turn one really does look quick as opposed to last year. Last year it was this 90-degree right-hander. Now it's a bit more open, turn 2 similar, so that's going to be fantastic to watch, going down into turn 1 after the start. And then a bit of a Mickey Mouse part of the circuit. 2 long straights with a bit of a turn, and to round off the lap, 2 hairpins. So probably the best overtaken opportunities and locations on the circuit.
A good review of what we're going to see, or a good preview of what we're going to see. This may not mean much since it's a pretty new track, but pole position went to Jean-Eric Vergne, fastest lap Sam Bird. In the podium, Jean-Eric Vergne, Andre Lotterer and Buemi. Lotterer, obviously, last time out, mounting Jeff's car and almost putting them both on the wall. I think might be a bit fairer this time, considering what they just saw last race. And obviously, Jean-Dre didn't suffer because of it, so I'm sure they're still
I'm sure
bros.
After that last race, all teams, there must have been a memo out to all drivers and just a reminder, protect the team interests, guys. Let's
yeah, for sure. They are massive teams, BMW factory team. That is BMW.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it looks bad for BMW. It would look bad for Techeetah if that happened. And so now I want to get from you guys a prediction. Who is winning the Santiago Eprix?
Good question. I mean, there are these 4 teams or being in contention for race wins. So it might be any Diesta Cheetah driver, any BMW driver, any of the Mahindra boys, any of the Virgin racers, possibly even Audi. I have no idea who's winning the race. And an educated guess is that I think Jeff is winning his first race in season 5 in Santiago.
I'm really happy that my off-the-cuff guess is exactly the same as your educated guess. I was
educated in parentheses, of course. I have no idea who's winning, but I might as well.
Look, I think Jeff as well. We haven't. He's had some, obviously some amazing drives so far this season. Hasn't quite been able to get the results. That combined with his results last season, taking out pole position and then the podium as well. He's got the build-ups there, the histories there. I think this could be the race for him this season.
Okay, I'm going to throw out Robin Fraines.
Ooh,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was interested to see how he would stack up against Sam Bird, and I liked what I saw last race. So, yep, maiden win, first win, Robin Fraines.
Good on you.
Exciting.
I'll have to correct myself. I think earlier I said that Verne finished 5th in Riyadh, but he didn't. He was on the podium, he was 2nd. So even more of an indicator that he's going to be on the podium in Santiago.
The educated guess comes through. Alrighty. And with that, we will end the show. So, Toby, where can you be found on everywhere around the web? Do you have a Twitter, Facebook?
I think it's easier to find me on Twitter. I do have Facebook, of course, but that's all private. I think the easiest way to get in contact is using Twitter. At Tobi Tweetins, that's where you can find me. Apart from that, maybe eFormalDE, if you understand German. I think only if you do, but if you do, check out eFormalDE. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Twitter at Tobi Tweetings or eFormalDE.
Nice. Do you have any further bits to talk about?
Well, look, I just want to say, Toby, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure to hear of your experiences and your far closer insights into the runnings and the laughs and the drama behind Formula E. So thanks so much for joining us.
I know, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much for having me on.
That's yeah. I mean, if you decide you want to get up early once again, then we'll definitely have you back on. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. So we're very thankful to have someone that's actually going to these races and someone that's a bit closer to the action than New Zealand, to be able to talk to us and give that insight to our listeners. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Alrighty. If you want to talk to us, we can be found at hello@regenracingpodcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and regenracingpodcast.com. And if you have a bit of time, please give us a rating on Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much for listening. We will see you again.
See ya.